Whether you love zigs or, like me, never really got on with them, there's no denying that they can be absolutely deadly. So today, we're going all in with zig rigs again. But this time, I'll take you through every single step from the perspective of someone that still needs convincing. Another bream on a zig. Ridiculous.
What's this for?
So once again, we are back down at Shearwater Lake. That's bookable on the Go Catch app. It's one of my locals, it's one of my regulars. You've seen it lots of times before, and the reason I'm back down here is, as I said in all the other videos I've done on zigs, is this venue is known for being good on zigs. But hopefully this time I'll go away going with more confidence than I'm coming with. Despite the fact I've done several videos on zigs before, I've still never really got 100% confidence in them. Maybe today is going to be that day. Another carp. Now there is one other element to today's video, and that is the fact I'm going to be surprising a subscriber by fishing with them for the day. They've booked on here for the day, for their birthday, but they have no idea I'm here, and absolutely no idea I'm going to be fishing with them for the day. And that's all thanks to his partner, Liz. Now roll back to the winter when I was filming a zig fishing video on the down wall with Rob Hughes. The guy I'm fishing with today, whose name is Carl, actually went past with his family and said hello. But what I didn't know is seeing us fishing like that actually got him quite down for various different reasons. He'd been unable to fish as much as he'd like, had to sell quite a bit of kit, so seeing us fish got him down. That's where his partner got involved, sent me a message and said any chance at all you'd be able to fish with him on his birthday week. Today is that day. It was actually his birthday on Tuesday, I believe, but he's going to be here any minute. I'm looking out for his car, which is yet to arrive, but it could be here any second, and we're going to surprise him with not only the fact that he can say hello to me, but I'm going to be fishing with him for the entire day. Hopefully he's happy with that. And she hasn't got it completely wrong and he thinks I'm a knobhead. For the record, I know I am, but some people like me. Just saw the car pulling around, so he's here. Morning.
Oh yeah.
You right?
Joe?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I met you on down wall
Oh, nice one.
weeks back with
Nice.
Rob Hughes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you alright?
Yeah, not too bad. You fishing?
Yeah. Had a few days up here lately for my birthday,
Yeah.
and Mitch
It
was
was-
going out for the day.
Oh, nice.
Thought I was just going to cabbage on sofa today.
Yeah.
Why not come and cabbage on the lake and
Nice.
just sort of relax?
Your birthday on Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Your wife's wife or partner?
Partner.
Called Liz?
Yeah.
She's been contacting me and she's organised you to fish with me for the day. If you're happy with that.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Oh, that's caught me off guard. That, isn't it? I was just going to kind of relax for the day, like.
Well, you can still relax. I'm not going to put any pressure on you.
That'd be great to fish with. That'd be amazing. That's caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie. This morning I was kind of debating coming.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I was like, oh yeah, I might just chill on the sofa for the day.
And she was like, no, you go.
yeah, yeah. I was sort of, why are you pushing so hard?
Step number one is going to be finding a spot to fish. Now that finger stool should give things away as to what's in my hands, and that is my dedicated spod and marker rod. It's not essential to have one of these. You can use an old carp rod or something like that, but you will find a dedicated rod will make it a lot easier to feel what's out there. And also when I switch this bare lead over to a spawn, I'll be able to get bait out a lot easier because this rod is designed for heavy usage, heavy casting, and giving you a lot of feedback. Now, the reel itself is then loaded up with braid, and the reason for that is because that will give me the most accurate representation of what's out there. Mono and fluoros, things like that, they have stretch, and then they absorb a lot of what should be coming through your rod and feeling into your hands. So by having braid, what happens out there is going directly into you, and you have a much better understanding of what is out there. So this is the setup: dedicated rod, dedicated reel, braid, and a bare lead. Let's go find several fish. Now you may be wondering why I'm finding a spot when I'm going to be using zigs, because obviously I'm not fishing on the deck. I'm going to be fishing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus foot up above the lake bed. But what I'm doing is 2 rods on zigs and 1 on the deck. So I want to make sure that the rod that's on the deck is fishing in a nice area. Also, this will give me an idea of depth. Although I'm not using a marker rod, I know roughly what the depth is out there already. I'm just feeling for anything pretty obvious, a nice clean bottom where I can present the bottom bait, and that the 2 adjustable zigs will also be sitting quite nice on the bottom when I then adjust them up. Before casting out, make sure that your clutch is locked solid. You don't want any kind of line slip on there. That's also why you have a finger stool. If braid slips on a big cast, you do lose a bit of skin. So make sure you're using the safe precautions before you cast out. Not gonna go too far. I've seen some fish quite close in already today, and I'm just gonna go straight out. That'll probably do there. Feel the lead down. stunk. So although it wasn't the cleanest of bottoms, it feels presentable already. Depth-wise, I'm guessing it's around the 15-foot mark from what I already know about this place. You will recognise, if you're local or if not, the lake water is down by quite a few feet at the moment, but even so, there's a lot of depth out there. I'm just bringing the rod back. Feels pretty slushy at the moment. If I find anything a bit smoother or tapping a bit like rocks, that might be an area to look at. But at the moment, that's all feeling fairly regimented. And I know that's a comfortable distance to fish at all day. If the wind picks up or I'm just getting more fatigued, I know that I can fish at that range nice and comfortably. And I have seen quite a few fish rolling closer in today, so I know I don't need to go too far as it stands. At the moment, that's all feeling pretty much the same. If that is the case, then I just pick a distance that I think is comfortable. It's getting a bit more skippy now, but that is very close in. So I'll just do a couple more casts like this. Yeah, see, that's catching on rocks. That's because I'm quite close in. Do 1 or 2 more casts out directly in front of me. I want to keep things fairly consistent on a horizon marker, because all 3 of these rods are aimed to be on a really tight patch, so that when I come to do the baiting up later on, all that bait's falling over the same 3 rods. So 1 more cast, a little bit more to the left. Feel the lead down. Ooh, that was actually a better drop. So already that felt a bit nicer. Pull the rod back. And that feels pretty clean as well. I'm imagining from the fact that the water level's down, most of the lake bed is like what we're stood on, quite rocky, with some clearer patches in between. And that's pretty much what this is feeling like. That's feeling quite clear there. So I know that's at a comfortable zone. Put that into the clip. Just check once again with casting out how that feels with the lead going down. And then I'm pretty happy that where I'm going to put these rods is a good distance.
Whilst we're waiting for this lead to land, I thought I'd mention the link on the pinned comment on this video, which is a little 5-day fishing challenge for you to get involved with.
Nice. Oh, yes, that was a lovely drop. So I know that's a comfortable distance. What I'm going to do now is leave that in the clip, wrap that out, and then make sure I get the rest of the rods clipped to exactly the same distance. And then I know that all 3 rods will consistently fish at the same range. So the spot's been found and all 3 rods have now been clipped up to the same distance, and this is the setup I'm going to be using on the Zig rigs, or Zig rods shall we say, and it's the Ridge Monkey Ziggos. These are adjustable Zig floats, and as you can see they fly out as a bit of a torpedo shape like this, but this float is held in place by magnets on the boom, which once it hits the water, without hooking myself, it pops off as easy as that. And then you've got a boom section which will sit on the bottom and upright, so it should actually stand clear of any issues on the bottom. Then that float will slowly drift up when you pay off some line. So that's how it becomes adjustable, nice and easy to use. And like I said, from using it before, I couldn't really fault it. I think it worked every single time last time I used them, so I'm really impressed with that. That then goes down to a large anti-tangle sleeve, just so that it doesn't get caught around the float on the way out or anything like that, and kicks the Zig away from it. And then my Zig rig itself is 3 foot in length, same on both rods, so it's got that separation from the float and my hook bait. So I know that when that rod is directly on the deck, it's about just over 3 foot off the deck, and as I pay off a foot each time, it goes up in increments. And the hook end, the business end, is really simple. I've got a dedicated floater ziggy hook type thing, so something that's small gauge wire, microbarb. It's a quite delicate looking setup. I've got one of the pole position zigger liners, which has a little cup on the back of it which takes these ziggers perfectly. I've got the mainline ziggers on there today, one of these ones, really bright, super stinky smelling, and they sit perfectly into that little cup with a little screw and holds them in place. One of them is starting with a yellow hook bait, the other one's gone pink. I don't think the colour is going to make much of a difference today, but if I find I'm getting lots of bites on yellow, of course I'll switch, and vice versa. It's very bright, so there are some black zigs in here as well, which could be an option to go for, but I'm thinking visual, in their face, in a water like this, which is pretty heavily stocked. I'm hoping that's what grabs their attention. That is the setup, nice and simply. That's 2 of the rods, and the other one is just my go-to running lead clip setup with a bottom bait rig on. That's completely up to you whether you want to go all out with zigs or do what I'm doing today, which is having one on the deck as a bottom bait, where all that mix that I'm putting out, sloppy spod mix, some of that is going to hit the deck, and I'm going to have a little bait down there waiting for potentially any fish I want to feed on the deck. Time to get these rods out and actually start fishing. Now for the tricky bit, and it's getting all 3 rods as close together as possible without crossing over itself. And this is where a horizon marker is really helpful. This venue has lots of trees, so you've got a nice tree line, and the odd one that sticks up more than the rest. I'm basically aiming directly at the far corner of the opposite bank, and there's a little dip in the tree, so that's what I'm going to be aiming at. If I can get all 3 rods in that little U shape, then I'm happy. Of course, you've got to check your lines and make sure you're not crossing over itself, but the more accurate you can be there means that all that bait you're putting out when you're hopefully accurate with the spot in it later on, it's all falling over all 3 rods, so giving all of them a good chance of a bite. Got a bit of a crosswind today, and I'm going to make sure that all of my casts are made from exactly the same point. I've got a couple of rocks here showing me where that is, so I know that where I'm casting from the same point with the same clip every time, I'm hitting the same distance consistently every time. So the biggest issue now is going to be that crosswind, but that's also going to help actually kick the zig away in the air, meaning that it won't tangle on the way out. It just eliminates any kind of risks like that. So rod number 1, this one goes well, it bodes well for the rest of the day. Hit the clip. Donk, and there we go. That one went out fine. Happy with that. Take it out the clip. I'm going to leave that with a tight line so that everything settles, and that zig is going to be just over 3 foot off the deck. But then what I'm going to do in a second is set the clutches and the depth, which I'll teach you how to do in a second. But for now, just get them all out in a nice straight line, as close together as I can, so that I'm fishing effectively and accurately. All 3 rods went out nicely, pretty much first time of asking, although I did recast the right hand rod just to make sure all 3 rods are absolutely nailed on. So now I know that my 2 zig rods are sitting just off the deck at just about 3.5 foot, because that's the boom of the Ziggo, and then my 3 foot hook link. Now I want to find out exactly what the depth is, and the easiest way to do that is just to keep paying off line. Thankfully, these rods have a 1 foot marker just here. So I now know that that zig float is at 3 foot, pay it off a foot of line, that's 4, 5, and I can see it's still going up because it's pulling the line tight, 6, 7, and I keep doing this until I find the Ziggo on the top, 8, I think that is, I may have lost count, 9, still going, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It stopped taking line, so I know that it's not that deep. So take a foot of line back. So that's down to 15. Just check, that's gone tight now, so I think we're about 15 foot of water. But just pay off some line again. It takes a little bit, then stops. So yeah, so we're about 15 foot of water. So that float is now just on the surface. I can see that by doing this. So if I bring it back 3 foot, I then know that my Zig hook bait is on the surface, but the float will be at 12 foot. So if I bring it back down to about 10 foot, so bring back 5 foot, I know that that Zig will be fishing 2 foot under the water. Hope that makes sense. It may seem a little bit convoluted way of doing it, but that's the most quick and effective way I found to find the depth and then bring the Zig back to a depth you want to fish. Right now, that float is on the surface, so if we bring it back 3 foot, 2, 3. Oh, I think I've got a bream on the left rod. That is definitely a bream. And that's the one on the deck with nothing else around it. And that is 100% the first bream of the day. Bream slipped back. I now know that this Zig is right on the surface because I brought it back 3 foot. So if I bring it back another couple of feet, 1, 2. I now know that that is fishing 2 foot under the surface in 15 foot of water. So that's at 13 foot. I'm going to bring it back to 12. So 3 foot under the surface, like so. So that is now set 3 foot under. I'm now going to adjust this one to be probably, I don't know, 8, 9 foot, so about halfway through the mid layers, and see what happens. I keep adjusting them here and there, but once I start getting some bait out, that should give me an indication of what depth these fish want to be at. There's a few things I can do this end whilst I wait for that to make sure that when I hook a fish, I land them, and that's regarding the bite indication and also how I have the reels set. You don't want to have your clutches set loose because you've got a lot of line between your lead and the hook. If you have a loose clutch, there's more room for the fish to shake the hook and get rid of it. You want to be contact with that fish as quick as possible. So make sure once you've got your depth set, you twist your clutches to pretty much lock solid. There's so much movement in that line out there from the lead to the hook link, you're not going to lose rod or anything. You shouldn't be far away from your rods. You'll get a few beeps. That's fish on. So I'm going to do that with both my rods. They are done like so. Tighten that one up a little bit more. You can have a little bit of give in there, but to be honest, that's enough to get the indication. Now the alarms are being turned on. Do all that before you turn the alarms on. Be courteous to other anglers. And I've got my alarms set on their highest sensitivity because I'm fishing tight clutches and I want to know as soon as a fish picks up that zig. Sometimes you'll only get 1 or 2 beeps and that can be enough to tell you there's a fish on. So that's set nice and sensitive, not much movement at all. And I'm getting beeps like that. So I know as soon as there's something happening, I'm being notified on it. And now's probably a very good time to tell you a big thanks to the guy that made these bobbins for me. It's that prop maker on Instagram. I got a message the other day saying, I've made you into some bobbins using the 3D printer. And this is their maiden voice. So hopefully they will be danced around at some point today. And yeah, a big thank you to him. And go check him out if you want some customized bobbins of your own. Rather unique, I think. That's another bream. Well, despite the fact I've not got any bait out yet, I'm now on to bream number 4. Bottom bait rod back out. Hopefully the bream give me long enough to talk you through the bait I'm now going to add to try and entice these fish to actually take these zigs. So at the moment, there's just 2 little pop-ups floating in the middle of nothing out there. So I need to get some attraction to the swim, cloud up the water, get some activity, get some interest, and hopefully they'll start taking those zigs. So in here is dedicated super zig mix. And then to make that even more pungent and smelly, I got some Cell stick mix, a bit of smart liquid I might chuck in. I got some multi-stim, which is like a swim stimulant, and also some salmon oil. Now what this will do is slick off the surface layer, so it makes it a lot easier to see the cloud, see where I'm casting, makes it more accurate, and also that's just sending out a bit more of a scent trail, and just looks good as well, I think. So we're going to start off with just chucking some of the mix into the bucket. I'll then add all the flavours, and then we're just going to simply add lake water until we get to a consistency which is like a sloppy soup. We want it really runny, so it doesn't clump and sink to the bottom, but it clouds up the water nicely. So start with half a bag, put a load of the stick mix in. So that's just adding scent to the water. A little bit of the swim stim, like so. And a bit of the oil, which will give me that slick. Not too much, mix that in. And that's just gone like basically a method mix, so it's way too stodgy. That's never going to go out and cloud up the water. So now's where I need to start adding lake water until I get to a nice, pretty much runny consistency. And that is pretty much the consistency we want. Nice and sloppy. It's going to be messy putting this out, but this is what's going to cloud up the water, get the interest, and hopefully get some fish grubbing around and looking for food, and they're taking my zigs just out of curiosity and in a bit of a feeding frenzy. Hey, no brain. Now here comes the messy bit, but I've also got to try and keep as accurate as possible. This is the whole reason why I spent time making sure all 3 rods were as close together as possible, because I'm going to be aiming for exactly the same point with the spom. So all this bait will land around the zigs, and anything that falls through the water layers and gets to the bottom will land around my bottom bait rig. So not that I've needed bait so far to get runs on that, but they have been from the wrong species. But here we go, spot number 1. Don't need to go too far. And we'll do probably 10 to 15 spots to start with to get some interest in the area. And then every, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, I'll do a few more spots each time just to reintroduce that cloud, get some more activity, some more bait, more attraction, and keep doing that until hopefully eventually we'll get some activity on the rods. Oh, here we go. Oh, got a double take. And yes, please. It's very likely. Luckily, no one actually. Oh, it's come off as well. No. Oh, out of this. Oh, you're joking.
All going tits up, look. Oh, proper.
My line went slack on a rubber net. I lost the fish, knocked over the bucket.
All in one swift movement.
Oh. Well, as quick as that, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and same old really. I'm still not convinced for Zigs. I've had a couple of bites, 1 or 2 that I've picked up into absolutely nothing. One was a bream. The one carp I did have on, I managed to lose just in the shallows in front of me here where I was fumbling around. The bait bucket fell over. Oh, that's a bite now on a Zig actually. Please be a carp. Oh, double take. Double take. Unless I've gone through this one. It could be I've gone through it. Has it gone right or left? I've definitely got a carp on. I don't know if that one just wiped out or if there's a fish on that as well. One on a 10-foot Zig. What's cooking a burger? The fish just boshed. They're quite far out, I think.
It does seem as though they're moving out.
Yeah. Well, I managed to talk this one onto the hook by talking to the camera saying it's going slow. Hey, blank saber. It's a start. Oh, hard fought for that one.
Yeah, worked hard for it. That's not too much of a pasty.
Yeah. Thanks. Not too much of a pasty. This is Carl, everyone, who's fishing me for a few hours. He's already given me stick on the fish. How many carp have you had today?
I was literally just about to say it. Better than the none I've caught.
Right, nice. Well, let me just rest for a couple of seconds. Flip them burgers. Oh. Scrap everything I was just saying. I've just had a fish on a Zig, and that was on 10 foot. So, oh, the caramelised burgers are starting to catch. I think I'm going to enjoy that. Show you that carp once he's had a little rest. Get the rods back out, and then this afternoon, now I've actually caught one, pressure's off a bit. Keep on doing the same thing over and over. Now I know I've had one on a 10-foot Zig. I'll check the colour of the Zig as well, and we'll go from there. Sweet. Well, not only was that a lovely burger, I've had a lovely fish to disrupt the cooking of them. And finally, after quite a while of fishing, we've got the first carp of the day actually on the bank. Not a monster, but a very pretty fish nonetheless. And this is kind of your average stamper fish out of Shearwater. There's still lots of fish bigger than this, but you do get quite a few commons around this size. And as this one came after a good 20-25 minutes since I last put any sloppy spod mix out, it's a good sign if I start introducing bait again, I might get a few more. So this was just an opportune fish swimming at the depth that I had the Zigs at, and it took it. So really good start. I say start, it's early afternoon now, but it's something to build on. So very welcome. Time to put this back, stick another burger on, and then get some bait back out, and hopefully going into the afternoon we can get a few more to take. Finally, some information to go on. So I've just been putting out a load more sloppy spod mix, probably about 12 to 15 of them, and nothing yet. So I just thought I'd just put out a couple of spods of mixers, and instantly they were carp feeding on the top. So that tells me all I need to know. I need to raise those Zigs, perhaps even try overnet, but for now I think I'm going to go to about 14 foot, so about a foot under the surface. Keep on putting mixers out, and then maybe bring the bottom rod out of the water that is, and get a surface rod out if they continue to take. So I'm going to get a few more mixers out, see if they continue to take, and if they do, it looks like we may be transferring over to surface fishing. Worth noting at this point that whilst I finally caught my first carp, Carl was also getting in on the act, fishing with solid bags, cast to show in fish. And the fish definitely seem to have turned up now. You've been putting out bait on the deck, you're fishing solids. I'm on Zigs and the surface end. I want to film this quickly because I've been putting out mixers, and if you could hear behind us, behind Carl, it's just
Slapping away.
happy days.
Happy days. Wicked.
Once again, I'm being shown up by my guests.
One of the three. Enough for this. Happy with that one?
Oh, I got a bite. Come on. There we go. Hey. Just as I was starting to lose my head, I got one on the Zigs. I've lost several today. I've lost count how many bream on Zigs. I've actually done the treble. I've had bream on the bottom, on Zigs, and off the top. That's how much I've been pestered by bream. But this common has by far made up for it. It's actually my 4th carp of the day. I'm not sure how many I've lost. It's been rather frustrating, but that is a rather beautiful common off of a zig. And I've been fishing them probably about a foot under the surface and putting floaters on the top, trying to get them on the top as well. But they've been taking these as well, because they're obviously just milling around on the surface, seeing the zigs and taking them. So that is very, very welcome. Time to sift them back, see if we keep 1 or 2 more. But if not, that's quite a nice end to the video. But as always, there's always time for another one. Yeah.
There you are.
It's just ridiculous. Leave me alone. There we go. Well, that was very much a teamwork ending. It's been an enjoyable day, a frustrating day for me, but you've had crap.
I've had all right, yeah. I've not done too bad. It's been all right.
So these may not be as big as the ones you had, but I've had, I think, all commons. They've all been this sort of size. That one of those commons slightly bigger, but good fun. And I loved ending the session, catching a couple off the top. They may take a few more. I think it's your turn with the floater rod.
Yeah, definitely. I've got to have a bash.
But you enjoyed your day?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been good, man. It's real nice to fish with you and chat with you a bit and that. Yeah, for sure.
And so you can say thanks to your wife now for your
Oh, yeah.
on the camera.
Thank you very much, my love. No doubt she will watch this.
You were getting a bit concerned when she was trying to force you out the door this morning. You were
Yeah.
contemplating coming today. So
Yeah.
go. So, mega.
Definitely glad I came.
Sweet. All right, let's get this Sue back and head on home. Oh, I've got rocks right in my knee.
So I've been thinking that this whole time. I had that one right pushing in the corner of me.
That's like gone into a nerve.